Okay, good evening, everyone. We are going to continue with our discussion of tefillin and the bathroom and some, as we spoke about last week, about entering the bathroom. And again, a lot of these discussions are not really practical because the practice is you take off your tefillin when you have to go to the bathroom, period. But we spoke about how in the past there are other considerations. First of all, they didn't have such clean bathrooms that we have nowadays, and they didn't have a safe place to put it. Their bathrooms are out on the roads, or out in the public area, so they would be closed off. So we spent a lot of time talking about it. But tonight, the first halacha that we talk about is extremely practical. Even though we're talking about the cases about going to the bathroom, and we'll come back to it, but there's a very practical case that has to do with focusing during tefillah, and we just speak about additional things about treatment of our tefillin. So let's begin. I'm going to share screen. Let's go. We're picking up from the top of Kaf Gimel Amud Bet, 23b, Tanu Rabbanan. So if you're looking at the article, it's 23ba, the first paragraph break on the left, Tanu Rabbanan. Let's go. Tanu Rabbanan. This baraita is going to be quoted for the purposes of the continuing the discussion of the bathroom, but there's other important lessons we'll learn here. Lo yochaz adam tefillin beyado. A person should not hold on to his tefillin in his hand. V'sefer Torah bizra'o, or a sefer Torah in his arm. V'itpalel, and pray. What that means is, if you're holding your tefillin, you shouldn't be praying, or vice versa. While you're praying, you shouldn't be holding on to your tefillin. While you're praying Amidah, you shouldn't be holding on to the sefer Torah. It's one thing if like the Chazan or something holds it as he says, as we do that for on when do we do it? The Hakafot, we do it for Kol Nidre on Yom Kippur. That's one thing. You're praying with the Torah. That's the price. But when you're talking about your Amidah, you shouldn't pray Amidah while holding a Sefer Torah. And you shouldn't pray Amidah while you're holding your Tefillin. You know when this is very common? When is it very common for people to pray Amidah with holding their Tefillin? Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, right? Because Musaf of Chol HaMoed, we don't do it. Or all of the other Musafs, we don't have it. But Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, it's extremely common. Because what happens is, we take our tefillin off right before we start Musaf. And then, they want to start the Amidah, and how do you get started? They do like a boom, boom, boom. Someone claps, as they call it, on the table. That means we're starting now. But you have some guy that's still wrapping his tefillin, and he's just wrapping his tefillin, and he might even decide to start the Amidah while he's wrapping his tefillin, and that's not proper. So what should you do in that case? If you didn't finish wrapping your tefillin yet, what should you do? Just put it down. Yeah, you put the case and place it down. Pray your Amidah. When you're done with your Amidah, then you put it on. But here you see this idea. Sorry? You have to put it back in the batim. If you can. I mean, if your batim is going to mean that it's going to be far away, then yes, you should put it down to protect it from getting damaged. But the key is that you should not hold on to it while you're doing your Amidah. Okay? Why? Anyone want to give me an idea why? Okay, you're saying two different things. Say it again. Okay, might get distracted when I fall. What did you say? Why is it not respectful? Okay, you're talking to the king. You shouldn't have anything in your hands. Yeah. Your tefillin are going to get jealous. I haven't heard that one before. I guess. I mean, it makes sense. Someone probably says that. But the bread. Yeah, loeg larash. Oh, should be like that's very interesting. That's very interesting. But okay, very nice. The idea, what? Oh, Andy's already doing the Musar part. Andy, come here. You have to give the Musar section of our Gemara class. Andy is already given. Andy's saying, if you're not allowed to hold your tefillin while you pray, what about your smartphone when you pray? Do you think you're allowed to have your smartphone in your hand when you pray? But there's more. If you're not allowed to hold your tefillin when you're praying, are you allowed to be messaging someone on Instagram while you're praying? Do you think that's allowed? Are you allowed to be doing a like or a reaction while you're praying? I think the answer is pretty clearly no. But yeah, so you're going to see here, I had once heard a rabbi say this very, very funny. He said how there are many people that we're going to learn these halachot. You really should not be holding anything when you're praying. You should not hold even your tefillin. You should not hold your Sefer Torah. We're going to continue to learn some more things right now. You know what? Let me hold off. Let's go through the whole Gemara of other things you're not allowed to hold, and then we'll conclude with the Musar. Andy jumped the gun a little bit. No, it's okay. It's natural. When it's natural, you never say sorry. It just came to you, you never say sorry. Here we go. Now, while you're holding your tefillin, there's a few more restrictions. One should not urinate while holding his tefillin. Okay, that's why we got into this topic, because we were talking about the bathroom and tefillin. And don't take a nap while holding your tefillin. Not a full out sleep, meaning like a heavy sleep, and not even a nap, which means don't put your head down like this while you're holding your tefillin. Why? Because you're gonna drop it, and in this case, it's going to be disrespectful to the tefillin because your tefillin is going to get dropped. Similarly with the bathroom. For the idea of not holding your tefillin while you're praying, it's because you're not going to be able to focus on your praying. But not holding your tefillin while using the bathroom or sleeping, it's because it's disrespectful to the tefillin. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel gives us a few more examples. Sakin. One should not hold a knife while he's praying. Ma'ot. Money. One should not hold on to cash while he's praying. Ke'ara. A bowl of some sort, like a china dish. A person should, or a vase. A person should not hold that while they're praying. Vechikar. And a loaf of bread. Hara'elu kayotze bahen. These have a similar status with respect to praying, that since if these fall, there's going to be a problem, right? Imagine a person has a knife and it falls right on his foot, or something dangerous, or while he's shuckling, maybe he miscalculates how forward he could go before he hits the blade, right? Well, let's say you do that. Or money, you're going to drop the money and someone's going to come take it, or I don't know where you're praying, but let's say you're praying somewhere and there's kid, if you ever want to see how quick things can get picked up, just throw candy on the floor of Kanisa. Kids come, boom, vacuum. Kasher la Pesach, the whole place. So if you leave some money, all of a sudden it could be gone. Kiara, a bowl, if you drop it, it could crash, it could shatter. Kikar, a loaf of bread. You're holding on to your sandwich, you have your bistro burger sandwich, all of a sudden it drops, you're not going to be able to eat this. So these are examples, as Rashi tells us, and I'm going to show you what Rashi says. Let's see if I could find it. Commentary, Rashi. Let's see what Rashi says. Hari elu kayotze bahen. Rashi says, le'inyan tefillah, with respect to tefillah, shedoeg alahen. He's concerned, shlotipol, that a person doesn't want them to fall. Hasakin v'tazikenu. If the knife falls, it's going to hurt him. V'ke'ara tishafech. The bowl will break, will shatter. V'hamaot yovedu. The money will be lost. V'akikari tanef. The bread is going to get dirty. So Rashi says how these examples, there's all some reason for it. Now there's another opinion that says, so it's only an issue with things that are going to distract you. But let's say it's not going to distract you. Let's say, for example, the fidget spinners. Let's say you have a fidget spinner, and let's say it doesn't distract you. Or let's say my car keys. Let's say while I'm praying, I want to go like this, right? Let's say this falls. Okay, so what? It falls. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to break. It's not going to shatter. There's a machloket whether these examples that the Gemara are giving, which all sound like you don't want them to fall, if it's something that you're part of about, maybe it is allowed. I had this, one rabbi once said something very funny. He said how there's many fathers, the good fathers, they take their kids to Kanisa, to shul, while they're praying to give their wife a break. It's like, you're going to go pray, take your kid with you. And then they're praying the Amidah and they're holding their kid, right? And you have this halakha that you shouldn't hold something that distracts you. There's really nothing that distracts as much as a child does. And then he says, but you might say, no, but I'm being a good father. He's like, let me ask you this. Very funny. He's like, let's say it was a Super Bowl. And your wife said, please hold on to this kid while I'm watching the Super Bowl. Would you say, yeah, I'm going to be a good husband? You're going to be like, get this kid away from me. I don't even know who it is. When it's the Super Bowl, you would never hold your child. But to pray, all of a sudden you're a good husband now. So, okay, look, I don't want to take away from it, because I know, for example, when I take the kids to shul with me, I know it is very helpful for my wife. Sunday morning, we have a minyan. You come. It's very helpful. It's part of the routine. And my wife very much appreciates it as well. So there is value in it. But it's good for the kids. But during the Amidah proper, you should train your kids to say, like if you need something, I can't answer you while I'm praying the Amidah. If you're going to need something, either get it yourself or wait. And if you need me to open it and it happens to me, he wants me to open the pack of chips. So sometimes I do it not because it's because like he doesn't get it. Let's say my kid doesn't get it, and it's going to end up being a distraction for everyone else. So in that case, I think we spoke about it. You asked the question about moving if a child. I forgot. We had this. Yeah.
If you're distracted by a child, if you're
Yeah. We spoke about this. But here we're talking about like beforehand. If you could decide, you really shouldn't hold anything, and we're going to see the halakha right now. Like if your child falls, for sure it's gonna be concerning, right? So you have to. It's best when you start the Amidah as soon as you can teach the child to say, look, Abba is praying right now while I'm praying, while I'm doing the Amidah. I can't speak. I'm talking to Hashem. If you need something, you could come to me, and as soon as I'm ready to talk to you, I'll talk to you. But like really, we see this halakha, and we're going to see it in Shulchan Aruch right now. Okay, now, you know what? Let's just see Shulchan Aruch before we move on because it's a nice practical topic.
Question.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, when they're making these rules up, are people praying with the siddurs that we have?
Ooh.
They know everyone knows the prayer. They're just like they have hands like do stuff with. Like,
Excellent question. So Andy asked the most common thing that people are holding while they're praying, which is a siddur. So you're not allowed to hold anything. What about a siddur? Excellent question. And then I could turn the question back to you, Andy. What if you have your siddur app open on your phone? Does it now make your phone permitted? Because you said that it really shouldn't. So let's look at this halakha in Shulchan Aruch. This halakha. And you will be distracted, you're saying.
Maybe back then they were distracted, they're trying to do everything by heart, so they're holding something.
Oh, now you're saying now that you have the text, you could multitask. That's a very interesting point where you might say how when you're doing everything from memory, you're easy. If you get lost, you're lost. So don't have anything in your hands and focus. But that you have your siddur to rely on, then you're asking maybe in that situation, you really could hold on to something else because you're not going to be as distracted. Okay, let's see what Shulchan Aruch says in Siman 96, Tzadivav, Tzav et Bnei Israel. This Siman, it's only 2 seif, so we can learn the whole thing. Okay? When one is praying, lo yochaz biyado tefillin, a person should not hold in his hand tefillin. This is exactly quoting our baraita. Velo sefer mikitvei kodesh, and not any book. So you see, our Gemara, the baraita quotes a sefer Torah, but here it's saying even a chumash. A person should hold on to a chumash when he's praying. Velo ke'ara mele'ah, and not a full bowl. You see, he's adding a word to it where he's saying it's not just saying a bowl, but he's saying a full bowl. There's a big difference between holding a bowl and holding a bowl of soup, right? If you're holding a bowl, it's one thing. Holding a bowl of soup is something else. So you can see where Shulchan Aruch is taking us. V'lo sakin, not a knife. Uma'ot, money, v'kikar, and bread. Here's why. Mipnei shelibo alehen shelo yiplu. Because he's focused on making sure they don't fall. V'tared, and he will be preoccupied on that. V'titbatel kavanato. And therefore, he won't be able to focus, and his focus won't be on the prayer. So Shulchan Aruch is explaining to us the reason you can't hold these items is because they will be distracting you. You'll be focused on them, and therefore you won't be able to focus on your prayer. Velulav bismano. What about a lulav? See, nowadays, what do we do when we're praying? We leave our lulav down. But let's say it's Sukkot. You come. There's nowhere down to put it. You're praying outdoors or whatever it is. Can you hold on to your lulav? Velulav bismano mutar le'echotz biyad. He says it's fine. Kevan she'achiza biyado hi mitzvah enon nitrad bishvilo. Because holding it is part of the mitzvah. So when you say Hallel with the lulav, during that time you're able to focus because this is part of the mitzvah. It's part of the day. Now the next seif rather, mutar le'echoz machzor tefilot biyado. One is allowed to hold on to a siddur in his hand while he's praying. Ho'il v'tofes letzorech tefillah atzmah. Since he's holding it for the purpose of prayer, lo tarid. So that's not going to distract him from prayer. In fact, that's there to help him with the prayer. Dumya de lulav. Just as with the lulav, demishum delekichato mitzvah lo tarid. Similar with the, it's not exactly the same though. Lulav is a mitzvah that is not going to distract me from prayer, even though it's different. It's just that it's within the realm of spirituality and following halacha. Siddur is enabling me to pray. So for sure, it's not a problem. Okay? Fine. That's it. This is the end of the halacha. Let's see what the Rama says. The Rama says, "Mikol makom, im lo haya biado kodem sheitchil, lo yachzir acharav b'tfilah litlo, ela im ken haya b'makom yuchad shu mukhan az mutar litlo, afilu b'toch ha'tfilah kedei litpalah mitocho." Okay, he says, but don't go searching for one afterwards. Like if you're holding it, it's one thing. But in the middle of prayer, you shouldn't really search for it, unless, of course, you're at a stopping point and you need it. Sometimes you're in the middle of your prayer and you forgot, or whatever it is, then you need it. Okay, so what did I want to bring out of this? What I want to bring out of this is we're asking this question of what are you allowed to hold in your hands while you're praying? The halacha is if it's something that's going to distract you, it's not allowed. Makes sense. If it's something that's helping you to pray, then of course it's allowed. And then if it's something that's not necessarily helping you to pray, but it's not distracting you, like the mitzvah of lulav, which is part of prayer, then it's allowed. Okay? So what about a cell phone? I would say if your cell phone, you're using it as a siddur, which many people do, then during that time it's allowed. But I would put on do not disturb. Because think about it. The whole reason you're allowed to hold it is because it's supposed to enable your prayers. But not if it's going to be distracting. So you should put on do not disturb or on airplane mode or whatever it is. Now, to your point about what if you know you're not going to lose your spot, but the Shulchan Aruch tells us that it has to do with kavanah. So if this is going to impact your intention, your kavanah in any way, then it's a problem. Now, again, I asked the question about like, what about for some people, like a fidget spinner helps them, or just to play with something helps them, or sometimes when I'm praying, I play with my tzitzit. Like I have my tzitzit, I like play with my tzitzit. It's just like more of like to keep my hand something. Presumably, if it's not taking away from your intent, from your intention, it's not hurting your intention, you see, it's not a problem. What about a baby? Yeah, so like I said, it's probably best not to hold on to your baby while you're praying, unless you're the type of guy that holds on to your baby during the Super Bowl. Then you really are just like a good husband, and like your wife is lucky, and Baruch Hashem. But again, there are times where it happens that you have to, of course, you have to use your judgment. If you have a 1-month-old infant and you tell the 1-month-old infant, listen, baby, I'm not allowed to hold you, put you on the floor, baby's crying, the whole shul is distracted because you can't hold your baby. You have to have some judgment, right? And so there are times where you have to hold the child, and it's necessary. But we're learning from here the idea of focus. By the way, this has come up so many times, over and over and over. It's one of the big ideas of Masechet Berachot. When you go into prayer, you should be focused. You shouldn't have other things with you. You shouldn't be holding on to other things. You shouldn't be focused on anything else. We learned a halacha book, or even a Gemara book, or even, what do you have there, Mishleh? Wow, Sadiq. Even if you're holding on to your Mishleh, you really shouldn't hold on to your Mishleh while you're praying. Why? It's not enhancing your prayer. If anything, your Mishleh book falls down, it's going to be something that you're going to want to have to reach, try to pick it up. So these are things that you should, beforehand prepare yourself by putting everything down. Okay? Good? Good. Yes. Are you allowed to, let's say, learn while you're praying Amidah? So it depends on which part of prayer you're talking about. Are you asking about Amidah itself? Okay, so during the Amidah, one should not be learning. It's not a time, you don't say, let me see what did Rashi say here. It's not a time for learning. Why? Because at this moment, you're not learning Torah, you're praying to Hashem. And during the time... okay, very good. Once you finish your Amidah, this is very common. Or I don't know, very common. When you finish your Amidah, we're going to get into the halachot when we get up to it, that one should not take 3 steps back if they're going to be encroaching on someone's area. Okay, so let's say you innocently just pray your Amidah, and then little did you know you have somebody is tailgating you. All of a sudden you turn around, you see some guy is on your tail, and you want to do 3 steps back, and when you do 3 steps back, you're going to be, knocking someone over, or just going into their personal space within their 4 amot. So I've seen some people, they do the very creative sideways, they'll say shalom v'romav, which you start here, you end up over there, and like you somehow do like a nice thing. Like you have to be very good at playing Twister to be able to do this type of thing. But let's say you can't. Let's say you can't go off to the side. So what do? Exactly like what you're saying. You stop. You wait. After, when you say you're technically your Amidah is finished. You just have to take your 3 steps back. During that time, you can't speak Berachot, but you can say other tefillot. You could read Tehillim, and you could even learn. So that's exactly a time that you would be able to learn. Not during the Amidah proper, not during the 19 Berachot of the Amidah, but at the end of the Amidah, when you're done and you're waiting to take 3 steps back, yes, you'd be allowed to learn. And that would be a time where you could pick up a book. But again, in that situation, you really shouldn't be holding the book for the entire tefillah. Just pick it up at the end. Other times, you're allowed to learn during Pesukei de Zimra, if there's a break or things like that. But for the most part, during tefillah, you should be focused. Yeah. You had a question? No? Okay, good. Yalla. Let's go. Back to the Gemara. Okay, so you guys remember, okay, I have to remind us what our discussion was because it's going to be important for our next discussion. This baraita just taught us something. The baraita, which is from the times of the Tanaim, said one should not urinate while holding his tefillin. Okay? So you're holding your tefillin in your hand, urinating. The baraita says you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to do any of these things while holding your tefillin. Okay? There's a problem. What is it? Say it. Correct. You shouldn't urinate while. What did I say? What did you say? I said you shouldn't urinate while holding your tefillin. You said you shouldn't hold your tefillin while you're urinating. Okay. Yes. Okay. Very good. Point is that the 2 things should not be happening simultaneously. Okay. Sorry. Okay. That's very interesting because here it sounds like the whole issue is that of dropping it, but not a disrespect of wearing it, which was a discussion that we had. Very good. And I think I mentioned to you that there are some that will permit it. We saw what Shulchan Aruch said. Shulchan Aruch says, according to the Rambam, one may not urinate while wearing it either, although there are some that argue. And I think I had mentioned this. There are people, there's a yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael in Yerushalayim called the Zilberman where they wear the tefillin all day and they urinate. Where's Nick Hakimi? So Nick Hakimi texted someone who he knows, whose boys go to the Zilberman yeshiva, and said, how do your boys urinate? He asked him that, just like, that was it. Start of the question, end of the question. No, he asked him, and he said they do it with their tefillin on. So, but in a room that's separate from the stall, they wouldn't go into the stall, but if they have the stalls over there, they have a room just for the urinals, they will urinate with their tefillin on. Keep in mind, they wear their tefillin all day long. So taking it off, putting it back on is something that they are consciously deciding not to take it off for no reason. They want to keep it on. That's their shita. Their opinion is to wear it all day long. So they will wear it. They will push the envelope as much as possible. And so this is what they do. For us, that we take it off, we're only wearing it for a half hour or 45 minutes. You have to go to the bathroom, take it off. Okay, even for number 1. But it is good to know that the Zilberman Yeshiva, Nick's friends, kids, and I've heard about this, that they will urinate with it on. Okay? But let's go back to our previous discussion. We had a baraita. 3-way machloket. What happens if you have to defecate? If you have to sit and to defecate, what should you do with your tefillin? Machloket. Very good job. You got it. Bet Shammai said,
certain distance before you go into the
very good. You take it off before and you put them in the chalonot, in the windowsill, facing the public, says Bet Shammai. And Bet Hillel says, no, you take it off and hold it in your hand. Take it off and hold it in your hand. Very good. You take it off and hold it in your hand. I think that was Bet Hillel. I think, you know what? Do we have the book? Let's check. Someone help me find it. Here it is. Here it is. לרשות הרבים ונכנס. כשהוא יוצא, מלכים לומר דברי בית שמאי. בית הלל אומרים, אוחזן בידו ונכנס. Hold them in your hand, go in. Rabbi Akiva אומר, אוחזן בבגדו ונכנס. Yeah, that's right. It's 3-way opinion. The opinion number 1, Bet Shammai, is that leave it on the windowsills outside, facing the public. and go in. Bet Hillel, very important. Bet Hillel says, hold it in your hand and go in. And then Rabbi Akiva says, hold it within your clothing in your hand and go in and defecate. And if you can't, then put it in the windowsill and the cubbies on the inside, facing inside. Okay? But Bet Hillel tells us that one should take it in, hold it in his hand, and go in and defecate. So now we have an issue. Because Bet Shammai says, leave it outside when you want to defecate. And Bet Hillel says, no, take it in with you. Hold it in your hand when you defecate. Now, let me ask you. This baraita now says one is not allowed to urinate while holding it. Would it make any sense for Bet Hillel to say, you can go take a 20-minute break while holding it for when you defecate, but you can't urinate with it in 30 seconds? Would that make any sense? If Bet Hillel is going to allow you to go sit with it while you're holding it, then of course he's allowed to he's going to allow you to stand while you're holding it. So this is what you would logically say. Bet Shammai says don't bring it in. So he's also the one that says don't hold on to it while you urinate. Bet Hillel says you're allowed to take it in while you defecate. So it's amazing how we're having this discussion. There's the taking off of the four amot beforehand is when we spoke about that was the Gemara beforehand. Very good. You're right. That was the baraita beforehand that didn't even quote the names of the opinions. With that in mind, let's see this baraita. Yeah, that was so remember there was 3 opinions. Then the next baraita told us this was all progression. Initially, they would say leave it outside. Then what happened? People started, or they would leave it inside, and then rats would come take it. Then they said leave it outside, and then someone came and stole it and blackmailed, and the student ended up committing suicide. So then they said take it in with you. Okay, but the machloket that we have is Bet Shammai says leave it outside, Bet Hillel says take it in with you. Okay, let's see our baraita. Tan Rabbanan. No, sorry. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Sheshat. Very important to know that this is the opinion of Rava. Rava wants to say, Let yilchita ki matnita. We don't follow this baraita. This baraita, which just told us that you cannot do anything, you cannot urinate while holding your tefillin. The halacha is not like that. How do I know? The Bet Shammai, because that's the opinion of Bet Shammai. Remember, he was the one that says you have to leave it outside. The Bet Hillel, but according to Bet Hillel, Hashta beta kise kavua shari. He permitted you to take your tefillin in with you into a designated, established bet kise kavua bathroom that has feces all over the floor. He says, take it, hold on to it, and go to the bathroom. So he lets you take it into a dirty bathroom, an established bathroom, while it's in your hand. Beta kise aray mebaya. Would it make any sense for him to say that you can't hold on to it when you are not even going into a bathroom? Like you could be going in a bush somewhere. It's not even a bathroom. So if Bet Hillel allows you to take it into a bathroom proper for number 2, wouldn't he let you hold it in your hand for number 1? Okay. So this is the opinion of Rava. Rava says that this baraita that just told us that you cannot urinate while holding your tefillin, that's the opinion of Bet Shammai. It's not the opinion of Bet Hillel. For us to now, the question is is he correct? Okay, so let's see if we could try to figure out whether Rava is correct. Remember, Rava is saying the baraita is like Bet Shammai, and we don't hold that way. Which the implications are one would be allowed to urinate while holding onto his tefillin. But this is only the opinion of Rava. So we have to see, is there a way to make it that this baraita actually is Bet Hillel, and Rava is wrong? Let's see. Meitveh, I have a contradiction against you, Rava. The following line, cryptic. It's a riddle. Divarim sheitarti lecha kan, asarti lecha kan. So Bet Hillel are talking here, and Bet Hillel says when it comes to bathroom, things that I permitted you in one case, I prohibited in the other case. Okay, so what has to happen is that for them to come and say this statement of things that I permitted here, I'm prohibiting there, it has to be a situation that you permitted it in a more strict case and you prohibited it in a more light case. Because if they come and they say something that makes logical sense, there's no point of their statement, right? Things that I permitted you to do here, I didn't let you do there. Like, would it make sense for that to be like, things that I let you pray in a Bet Knesset, I didn't let you pray in a church. Okay, there's no point for you to say that statement. So it has to be something that goes against logic. And Beit Hillel says, even though it goes against logic, there are times where I permitted one thing, but I prohibited it somewhere else. So my love, tefillin. So this is exactly it. It's talking about tefillin. Because if you tell me that this is Beit Hillel talking, I permitted you to take your tefillin in with you into an established bathroom when you're defecating. Number two, but I prohibited you from holding your tefillin while you urinate. Then it makes sense. While Beit Hillel says, I have a hot take, I have a big thing to say. The big thing that I'm saying is, even though I permitted it in this case, I'm going to prohibit it in that case. And that makes sense. Even though I permitted you to hold your tefillin while defecating, I'm going to prohibit you from holding it while you're urinating. Okay? Then this cryptic message makes sense. But if you want to tell me who made this statement of things that I prohibited in this case, I permitted in that case, lo sharu v'lo midi. Beit Shammai never permitted anything. Beit Shammai didn't let you take it in this bathroom, didn't let you take it in that, and they never let you do anything. They didn't permit anything. So it only makes sense that this statement was made by Beit Hillel. Even though it didn't say Beit Hillel said it, it makes sense that it was said by Beit Hillel. And from the fact that they're saying this statement, it makes sense that this has to do with something that goes against logic. So you have a baraita that Beit Hillel says, we're saying something that goes against logic. So don't tell me, oh, it can't be that this is Beit Hillel. That's what they said. Okay? But the Gemara is going to say, hold on. Maybe that baraita, when Beit Hillel, with respect to the bathroom, said things that I permitted in one case, I prohibited in another case. Maybe that's about something else. Maybe that's about one tefach and two tefach. Okay, what does that mean? The Tani Chada. Okay, going to the bathroom. Someone has to go to the bathroom. There are halachot that we're about to learn about how much you're allowed to uncover yourself. Okay, keep in mind, we're talking about a public bathroom, a locker room, or something like that. Now, are you allowed to be completely, what's the word? Just free and take everything off, or should you act in a modest way? You're going to the bathroom in front of other people. Okay? You just strip completely, or are there laws of modesty even there? And the answer is yes, there are laws of modesty. Now look at this. The Tanicha, the one baraita says, Kishehun nifneh, when a person wants to defecate, means they're doing number two, Megale la'acharav tefach. He reveals behind him a tefach, meaning one hand breadth. He opens up, I'm assuming, I don't know what type of clothing they had, but you lift one tefach worth from the back, and two tefach worth from the front. Okay? A person has to go to the bathroom, they have to open up some part of their clothing, they have to expose part of their clothing. The halacha in one case says, when you want to sit, you open up one tefach from the back, two from the front. And we have another baraita that says, the second baraita says, you open up one tefach in the back and nothing in the front. Okay? So in one case, the baraita says, you're going to the bath. By the way, when a person is going to the bathroom in private, they get undressed or whatever it is that they have to do. But especially when they're in public, you know what this is like? I'll tell you what it's like. Okay, for the men, I don't know. We have some ladies listening on the YouTube. Maybe you don't know about this. For the men, you go to a urinal. What is a person doing? A person is uncovering enough for him to be able to urinate. Rarely do you see someone dropping their entire pants in the urinal. You don't see that unless it's like a 2-year-old and they do it and it's cute. But like that's it. That's what happens. I don't know if you've seen it. Because like the kid doesn't know how to like just open up a small amount. But you see, this is a concept. You're in public, you're open, you're exposed. You expose what you need to expose, enough to be able to urinate. So that's what the halacha is saying here. A person needs to sit, expose one tefach from the back, two tefach from the front. I'm not sure how their clothing were manufactured, but it was possible. You do one tefach, which is about 8 centimeters worth, a hand's breadth from the back, two from the front. But then there's another baraita that says, person goes to the bathroom, you open up only one tefach from the back, nothing from the front. So now we're going to try to say, what are these two cases talking about? My love, idi v'ish. Both of them are talking about men. V'lo kashya, and there's no contradiction here. Kan ligdolin, kan liktanim. It depends if you're doing number one or you're doing number two. If you're doing number one, so that's why you open two in the front and one in the back. And if you're doing number two, you only open one in the back. But the Gemara says that doesn't really make sense, because if you're doing number one, why do you need to open up one tefach from the back? Why do you need to expose your backside? If you're talking about doing number one, urinating, why would you need to expose a tefach in the back? Both Berachot are talking about number two, about defecating. So one is for a man, one is for a woman, which means for a man, he exposes one tefach on the back and two from the front, because he might have to urinate also. For a woman, he exposes only one tefach from the back, and that'll be enough even if she needs to urinate, and then she doesn't have the need to open two tefachs from the front. Okay? So, why are we saying all of this? Because we're trying to figure out what the opinion of Beit Shammai is with respect to holding tefillin in his hand. Okay? And we have these other two braitot. These other two braitot, with respect to the bathroom, say that you open two tefach in the front, one in the back, or you open one in the back and nothing in the front. And we said this is we're in the middle of a flow. Hold on to a second. The question, we're saying this one has to do with a male where he opens two in the front, one in the back, and one with a female, which is none in the front and only one in the back. But the Gemara wants to say, if that's how you're going to explain these two braitot, ha-diktani Allah, about this braita, the following phrase was taught. Zeu kal vachomer she'en alav teshuvah. This is a kal vachomer, which is a logical inference that she'en alav teshuvah, that I can't explain. Meaning, what I'm saying goes against logic, and I know that it goes against logic, but that's how it is. For this, that's how it is. It goes against logic. It's not a logical thing. The Gemara says, "My ein alav teshuvah." What do you mean it goes against logic? Darka demilta hachiita. It's very logical. The man needs extra space in the front. The woman doesn't. That doesn't go against logic. It's extremely logical. So why would you say, "Oh, these braitot that we have, it goes against logic"? So elalav, rather tefillin. This whole thing must be talking about tefillin, which means as follows: Bet Hillel will permit someone to take their tefillin in with them to bet kiseh kavua to defecate, but he will not permit the person to urinate while holding it, and this goes against logic. It's a kal vachomer she'en alav teshuvah, because logically, if I permit you to do number two with it, of course I'll let you hold it while you're doing number one. It goes against logic, but still, that's the opinion of Bet Hillel, which means our baraita that said one may not urinate while holding the tefillin, that Ravan and Rav Shesha came and said, "Oh, that can't be Bet Hillel, because Bet Hillel even permits you to do number two." So now you see, no, he's wrong, because Bet Hillel says something where he says, I permitted something in one case, but I prohibited it in the next case, and it goes against logic. It goes against logic, so that means, according to Bet Hillel, one may not urinate while holding the tefillin, but he may defecate while he's holding tefillin, even though it's not logical. Okay? We're not done with the flow, but yes, question?
Well, how can they connect this right to talking about like being able to open a certain amount up for men versus women, and then like you're discussing women, why are you gonna try to connect it to like tefillin? It's clearly on the way to
No. Okay, very good question. Very good question. It's not related to tefillin. Here's what's happening. What's happening is Bet Hillel said, with respect to the laws of bathroom, Bet Hillel said, I permitted you to do something in one case, but I'm not going to let you do it in another case, even though you might think logically that you should. Okay? We know this was taught about the bathroom. So then you're going to say, oh, that has to do with going to the bathroom and exposing oneself. Nothing to do with tefillin. How, when you're doing number one, I let you to open two in the front and one in the back. But when you're doing number two, I only let you do one in the back. I don't let you do anything in the front. Well, you might say, if I'm doing number one, you let me open up three. You let me do this. But I'm doing number two, which is even more. You're not going to let me open up from the front? That goes against logic. That's what it could be talking about. But we say, no, it's not talking about exposing oneself, because it's not about number one, number two. It's all about number two, and it's talking about a man and a woman, and that doesn't go against logic. It's extremely logical, because a man needs to expose more area. So when Bet Hillel makes the statement of, I'm going to tell you something that I permit something in one case and I prohibit it in another case, and it goes against logic, it's not talking about how much one they expose themselves. Rather, it's talking about urinating while holding tefillin, which Beit Hillel does not allow, and defecating while holding tefillin, where Beit Hillel does allow. According to Beit Hillel, you're allowed to defecate while holding your tefillin. You're not allowed to urinate while holding your tefillin. Okay? So tiyufta de Rava amar Rav Sheshat, tiyufta.
Rabbi.
We are rejecting the opinion. Yes, Ilan, 1 second. We are rejecting the opinion of Rava, who says that this baraita is not according to the opinion of Beit Hillel. Yes, Ilan.
So I got a little bit stuck on the fact that Beit Hillel just out of nowhere could just defy logic and do his own thing and give no explanation for it.
Yeah. Yeah, why does that bother you?
Because like Gemara is all about like trying to figure out the logic and things, not just spewing out nonsense. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So Elon's asking a good question. Like Beit Hillel is coming and saying, guys, I'm going to tell you something and it's going to go against logic. And Elon's like, how do you just do that? What do you drop the mic and that's it? You walk away? Or how do you just do that? Elon, the answer is in the next line of the Gemara. Okay? The next line of the Gemara is going to say, but how do you do that? How do you go against logic? So you're correct. You're correct. It's a valid question. The Gemara is going to address that right now. Okay? Good? So everyone with me? Step number 1. We had a baraita, and the baraita says what? What does the baraita say? So almost perfect? Very good. Baraita says, this is how we started tonight. One may not urinate while holding their tefillin. Or one may not hold their tefillin while urinating. Adam, which way did you like it? Which way did you like me to say it? You can't urinate while holding, or you can't hold while urinating? Okay, one may not hold their tefillin while urinating. Okay, that's what the baraita says. Now you have Rava say, oh, that's not the opinion of Beit Hillel. Don't you remember Beit Hillel said that if you want to defecate, you take your tefillin with you. So now this baraita over here that says one may not urinate while holding their tefillin, right? That can't be the opinion of Beit Hillel, because Beit Hillel says you're allowed to take it in with you. So the Gemara says, well, no, it is Beit Hillel. Like, what do you mean? Because Beit Hillel says, you know something that I permitted in one case, I prohibited in the other case, and it defies logic? So I permitted you to walk in with your tefillin to go defecate, but I prohibited you from holding it while you're urinating, and that goes against logic. So that baraita is the opinion of Beit Hillel, which means we would hold like it. But now we have to deal with the question of, okay, but why are you defying logic? Why are you going against logic? The answer is because he has another explanation for it. And the other explanation for it is, yes?
Well, statement that defy my logic. It's a random statement somewhere and to lose any
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, where are you pulling this out from? It seems like it was taught with respect to the laws of bathroom, of going to the bathroom, something that was permitted and prohibited with different types of bathrooms or something like that. We know it's in the context of bathroom, but we don't know more than that. And so we thought maybe it's talking about the exposing oneself to go to the bathroom. There is a key difference between your sitting and standing. That would give you a reason as to why Beit Hillel would allow you to hold it while you're sitting, but he wouldn't allow you to hold it while standing. And the answer of this question goes into the design of many urinals. If you ever look at the urinals, they do something. What do they do in the design of a urinal? You know what I'm talking about? Curved. No, not that they're curved. They put a little fly there, or they put a little bullseye there. There's reasons for this. Because when you see this little fly there, oh, you didn't know why. You ever try to kill the fly before? They put the fly there because they want someone to aim there, and the reason they want you to aim there is because they don't want you splattering all over the place. So let's see what the halakha is going to say, something very interesting. Mikol makom kashya. But even if I know that this is Beit Hillel, I have a question. This is Elon's question. Ha beta kiseh kavua shareh. You permitted someone to take the tefillin into a bathroom to defecate. Beta kiseh arai lo kol sheken. Wouldn't it make more logically make sense that they're allowed to hold it while they're urinating? This is Elon's question. So how do you just go against logic? Achikama, here's why. Beta kiseh kavua daleka nitzotzot. When someone is sitting, they don't have nitzotzot, drops. Drops, what is another word for it? I don't know, splashes, splashback. I don't know if we're talking about splash. Yeah, splashback, fine. Like splashing, getting drops of urine on yourself, okay? So when you're sitting, you don't have that issue. Sharu, So they permitted you to hold it. But when someone is urinating while they're standing, there's going to be splashing. Asre, they prohibited you to hold your tefillin. I'm going to explain this to you the way the art scroll and the way the commentators explain. I have a massive question on this, but I'm not even going to attempt to answer it. Okay? Here's what it says. It says that when someone urinates while they're sitting, they don't get urine on their shoes or on their clothing. But if someone urinates while they're standing, they could get it on their clothing or on their shoes. So what? So they're going to have to wipe it down. So if you have to wipe your urine, we don't want you holding holding onto your tefillin. So Beit Hillel will allow you to sit because you're not going to have to wipe the urine off you, but he won't allow you to stand because you're going to have to wipe your urine off your feet. The question that I think any person would ask is, yeah, but when you sit, you still have to wipe, just wipe something else. And probably it's going to be even worse than wiping the urine off of your shoe. And to that, I say, maybe they didn't have to wipe back then. I have no idea because the Gemara is not bothered by it. Maybe they used, what's it called? Maybe they had bidets. Maybe next to the bathroom there was a spring. Maybe they wouldn't wipe. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah.
These problems actually dropping it understanding.
Oh, okay, very good. So Richard is like, okay, you know what? Because you give such a simple answer, let's read the footnotes, okay? Because the footnote is so interesting. I told myself I'm gonna look this up. I didn't have the time to, but where is it? Help me find the footnote. 17. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, it's so far okay, let's just see it. Here what his footnote says. Thus, the baraita means to contrast urinating in an established, how do you pronounce that word? Latrine? What is that? Is that French for bathroom? It's like a bathroom? It's a bathroom. So why don't they write bathroom? Why do they use it's a set of, oh.
It's like public bathrooms.
It's like the army, but okay, fine, got it. Okay. It's not French. How do you know? You know French. Yeah. Okay, it just means I know, latrine. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's how I was reading it in my mind, to be honest. Okay, so here's what it says. Let's do it one more time. Thus, the baraita means to contrast urinating in an established latrine, which is normally done while sitting for defecation, with urinating in a temporary latrine, which is normally done while standing. The contrast, therefore, is between urinating while sitting and urinating while standing. When urine splashes on a man's feet, he is required to wipe it off. Since, see the Gemara that says, because otherwise, people might suspect that he is a krut, one whose organ is cut. The urinary flow of a man with a cut organ does not arch away from his body, and the urine tends to drip onto his feet. Such a person is also incapable of fathering children, and is, in fact, forbidden to marry a Jewish woman under many circumstances. Thus, if a man does not wipe urine off his feet, people might conclude that his children were fathered by another person and are mamzerim. Since one who urinates in a temporary latrine while standing must often use his hands to wipe the droplets of urine off his feet afterwards, he is forbidden to hold his tefillin in his hand while urinating. So okay. So this is what it's saying. It's saying like this: if you don't want to wipe, no one's gonna say anything to you. If you're out in the field, you're farm, okay, you smell, okay, whatever. You shower at the end of the day. You don't want to wipe. No one's gonna say an issue with you in the back. But in the front, if you don't wipe, here's what's gonna happen. If you don't wipe in the front, in the back, people are gonna say you smell. Okay, that's your choice. If you don't wipe in the front, people are going to think you're peeing downwards, which means you have some sort of an issue. And that issue could also mean that this man is incapable of having children, which would then beg the question of, how does he have children? Maybe these are actually someone else's children and his wife was maybe with someone else. And then you have the question of, maybe these are bastard children. So if someone sees urine on your shoes, they would reasonably believe that your children are bastard children. Whereas if someone has it from the back, you don't wipe in the back, okay, so you smell. So this is what it's basically saying, how there is a halachic requirement to wipe the front of your shoes because it seems like this was reasonable. Look, I don't know. We're a completely different day and age. I don't know if I would ever notice if there's something on someone's shoes. And even if I did, I wouldn't start questioning whether they're able to have kids or not. But we're in a completely different day and age. It seems like this was common, okay? People didn't have the same hygiene as we have. Here right now, we shower every day. You know how often they would shower? Maybe once a week. What do you think, and how do you think they wipe? Right now you go, you buy your baby wipes that like are scented or this or water-based, plant-based, coming from the springs of Poland. Where are they coming from? This everything that you have, they didn't have this back then. People smelled. Okay. People smelled. They got used to it. So someone didn't wipe so well. Okay. That's sort of how it was. And no one like held it against you. But if people had droplets on their shoes, it's like, who pees downward? It's not possible. Oh, there's something wrong. This person has some sort of a disease. And look, they didn't have the same blood tests that we have nowadays. Nowadays, you want to go do something, you do a blood test. They didn't have it. So this was their level of technology. The level of technology is, look, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. Something's not right here. And there might be truth to what they're saying. Okay, so I know it sounds very far-fetched, but if you consider the fact that hygiene was different back then, if a person doesn't wipe so well in the back, it's not the end of the world. But if someone doesn't wipe in the front, it might lead someone to believe something, and that's why halakha requires you have to wipe it. And now you see why Bet Hillel would say, if you're going to sit, I'll let you hold your tefillin, because you don't need to use your hands afterwards. But if you're going to stand, you can't hold your tefillin, because you're going to need your hands afterwards to wipe. Okay, look, I have a very there's a big question here, but like it's feasible to go to the bathroom and not touch anything if you're doing number one. It's possible. Okay, so I wash my hands every time, but like if I'm in a rush and I had to pick not washing after number one or number two, I would pick after not number one. Like if I had to hold something, I'd be able to manage more with number one than number two. But the hygiene and the lifestyle and their understanding of medicine and an understanding of people's urinary conditions back then was different. So this is what they concluded. And therefore, since they concluded it, you had to be careful. Okay? Question. Do you have any urologists here? We need to speak with a urologist about this. Yeah, I'll come back to you in a second. Yeah?
Possibly talking about your concern of maybe it will like splash and hit your tefillin or something.
Maybe the Gemara just says there's nitzotzot here, there's no nitzotzot there. There's drops here, there aren't drops there. This commentary they're bringing like from Rashi and other opinions that say this. Maybe there's some other views. Maybe the droplets you're worried that it's going to get your tefillin dirty. Or Richard had another idea about like you're more likely to drop it. Maybe like the drop, but the Gemara says nitzotzot drops. So like maybe because of the drops, you're like, I got it on me, and then boom, you drop it. Whereas if you're sitting, you're not going to get it on you. Maybe. Yeah. Question.
You can disprove whether or not you have a organ
exposures. No, but the crucial.
If it comes down to it, like it comes down to it, someone saying like, "Oh, we aren't your kids," and you just be like, "Look." Like, I don't know. I'm sure like in some recording, you just like prove that. There might like maybe you'll get it dirty or I don't know.
Yeah, well, krut there's like a technical definition to it, and it may not be like completely severed. It could be like having some conditions. Yeah, but it's a good point. You're saying like push come to shove, I could defend, but still, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where people are making reasonable claims. And if it's reasonable, you have to be concerned with it. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty interesting. Rama, then Adam. Yeah.
The only modern example that I can think of would apply is you're in an airport, you want to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're carrying it to fun with you because it's not going to be in the field with that. If you're in an airport.
You guys hear this?
I've done it myself. I can tell you.
Rama, were you here last week? Were you here last week? No. Okay, fine. Yeah, keep going.
So I've walked into the bathroom many times in an airport with my tefillin in my hands because you have two covers or a care holder. And going into your urinal, pretty normal. I mean, but I would feel very weird going into an actual stall and sitting down and having my tefillin.
So what would you do?
That.
What?
And then I would just think for a second, I'd be like, is it okay to leave it outside the bathroom? Because maybe it's gonna be okay, but urinal, yeah, that's okay because, I'm just holding it for a second.
Rama, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Watch the recording on last week's shiur. Bo betoye. It's exactly the entire your entire life story right there. That's our entire Gemara of last week was about that. It was about the bathroom, about putting on the outside. That's how we started the shiur. I started the shiur by saying, "What do you do if you have to go to the bathroom?" You missed my story. My story was I got off the plane, I rushed off the plane, and I was holding my tefillin, and there's another Ashkenazi dude wearing a kippah, and we just looked at each other, eye contact, didn't even say a word. I said like this. Hold on to his tefillin. I held on to his tefillin. Went in. We didn't need to talk. We knew exactly what we needed. So yeah, this is exactly a very common question, but we explained last week that we are wrapping it, we're closing it, you're putting it in a bag that's more than a tefach. The discussion that we had last week, for sure it's allowed. For sure it's allowed to. Because you have the coverings, exactly. Correct. These discussions we're talking about is having it open. Bet Hillel even allows you to take it open into the bathroom, but not to urinate. And that's the discussion is why. And the answer is because of the drops. Okay, question, Adam.
Have to say that you need to wipe your feet. Doesn't that mean that it's normal for drops to go down to the point that the normal person would have drops in
Yeah.
their feet without having genetic disease?
Not necessarily genetic, but yeah, some sort of like look, I have a lot of questions on this. I have a lot of Adam's asking a very valid question. Like, hold on a second. If every time you go to the bathroom standing up, you need to wipe your shoes, because then that means this is something that every single person who will be standing up has to deal with. So why would someone assume, oh, your children are bastards? Why would that happen? Maybe the guy just assumes like maybe he just peed standing up, instead of saying, how could that happen? He must have been peeing sitting down, and since he peed sitting down, or like, okay, so it's a good question. I think it also depends on where the person is going to the bathroom. If a person is urinating in an established place, it could be there's like a hole in the ground. Okay, so if a person is peeing in a hole in the ground, he won't have splashes coming back to his feet. It's not going to come back to him. Imagine there's a hole in the ground. You're peeing in a sewer. Okay, if you pee in a sewer, you're not going to have splashes coming back to your shoes. It's only if you're peeing in a non-designated official bathroom, which is on the ground, which maybe that wasn't as common. Maybe it wasn't as common. I have more questions than I have answers, though. Okay, it's a very valid point. You're saying like, why would anyone? I would say even if not, why would this be where someone's head goes to think that this guy's peeing on his feet because he has some sort of an issue and therefore he can't have children, and therefore the children that he had, his wife went and cheated on him and had it with someone else, and therefore these children are bastards. It's like a little bit far-fetched. But it makes sense. By the way, nowadays, you should just know, Baruch Hashem, with the modern medicine that we have today, even a man that has some sort of a thing where he wouldn't be able to get pregnant naturally is able to. There are ways the person, an average person, an average man, when he is going to have relations, in each batch, there's probably at least 10 million sperm, 40 million sperm, 100 million sperm. You know how many sperm of that 50 million, you know how many need to make its way to the woman's egg to get pregnant? One. Just one. 50 million go. One go, you have a baby. And if not even one out of the 50 million go, that's just a month where you didn't get pregnant. It's crazy. And for modern medicine, what they're able to do is they could take that one sperm, and if that sperm is alive, they could take it and they could insert it into the egg. And now you have an embryo. So just because even if a man has some sort of an issue, still possible he's having children through IVF nowadays. So again, none of this, I would say even more so now, none of this applies. None of this applies. If you see urine on someone's shoe, you could just ignore it. Just say like the guy. Yeah, just say that the guy, or you could say like the Berachot, something like that. But like I told you, in 54, I will tell you the cleanest place in 54 is inside the urinal. It's the cleanest place. Around it, urine everywhere. Inside, nothing. Nothing. It's okay. It's okay. Baruch Hashem. They put the flies. I know. No, yeah, you're right. After they put the flies, they started getting better.
First season, first time that's success. And I want to not be on my one.
No, I'm just joking. But it's very common. It's very common to look under a urinal and to see urine. It's very common. It doesn't mean that people walking in there have certain disease. I really don't. I don't think this Gemara, for some reason, I think it's just hygiene was different. What people believed were different. The way people acted were different. Okay, things were different. And I think like you have to sort of accept that when you really want to understand this Gemara. Okay. Let's keep going. Anyone else had a question? No? Are these fun topics? Like talking about going to the bathroom with your tefillin on and with holding your tefillin, wiping your shoes after you pee. And okay, let's keep going. Okay. All right. One of my favorite Gemarot. Hold on, Richard. Can you tell everyone how you feel about praying? Because you told me what happened.
Every time I'm about to pray in the morning, I have a random thought in my head now that I need to go to the bathroom.
We've made Richard paranoid. Now, anytime Richard sees a siddur, he goes to the bathroom. He just like he told me, he's like, you messed me up, Rabbi. You messed me up. Yeah. Okay. So as we just spoke about, before you pray, you should check to see if you go to the bathroom. Today, now we're going to learn about another thing. Okay. And Richard, I'm sorry. This might mess you up a little bit more. I'm sorry if it does. But hey, it comes with the territory. If you want to go into having a meal, like an established meal, like all of a sudden, you're having a Shabbat dinner. You're having some established, it's like lunchtime with family or something like that. Then you should walk 10 times back and forth going 4 amot, which means pace back and forth 6 feet 10 times. Or arba pe'amim 10 amot, or pace back 4 times 10 amot, 10 amot, like 20 feet. Like just do some sprints, move around, do some exercises. So that this way you go to the bathroom, and then you go eat. What it's saying is like this. If you're about to go eat a meal, okay, Shabbat meal, Friday night, all of your family is there, you're about to sit down. Don't sit and say, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. And let's say you're on the brink, like, I might need to go, I can hold it in. So it says go do some jumping jacks or something, get the body flowing, get something going, drink some water, run back and forth. And I don't know, each of you might know your body, what it is that helps get you going. But do it beforehand, so that this way you go into the meal clear. So if you look at Rashi here, I believe there's a Rashi. I want to see it. Yeah, there is. When someone is entering the meal, the truth is it's disrespectful, or it's not that it's disrespectful. It's, what's the word? It's almost embarrassing that in the middle of a meal they have to get up and go to the bathroom. It is. And you have all the Pesach Seder. We're all up to Dayenu. Where's this guy? Oh, he's been in the bathroom for the past 15 minutes. It's almost embarrassing. So if you're having your breakfast quickly and it's just yourself, it's one thing. But if you're going to an established meal, you should take care of going to the bathroom beforehand. And the Gemara is giving us some advice that sometimes a little bit of activity helps get the juices flowing. So Rashi gives us a little bit of he adds a little bit. You know how it says you should go 10 times back and forth, or it says 4 times back and forth? So Rashi says between each one, try to do it. Try to go to the bathroom. Like 10 times, go 10 amot and then sit. And if it didn't work, go another 10 amot and then sit. This could only work like if you're like pacing around inside your bathroom. If you have enough of a bathroom. Otherwise, like people are going to think you're whatever it is. Again, if you're in private, and then he says, why shahiluch morid hagedolim nekev? Because, says Rashi, that moving around will drop the food, the feces, to the orifice, to the hole. Meaning, your body needs some motion to get things going. It's like stuck in your colon. If you move around, it's gonna get it to drop. I don't know exactly how this works, but everyone knows their bodies, and exercise maybe does help. Someone once told me that he has a what did he say? He says he has coffee, straight to the bathroom. You just wanted coffee, it's like it comes in, goes out. Someone else told me, what does he do? He has kale, he has a kale smoothie without fail. In the morning, he has a kale smoothie. 3 minutes later, goes to the bathroom. Okay, so if a person knows their body, it's actually, and we say I'm saying it as a joke, but I'm also serious. If you know that it's Shabbat morning or whatever morning, and you know I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and if I don't go to the bathroom now, then I'm gonna go have my entire Amidah. I'm gonna be focused on this, and then I'm gonna go to someone's house for lunch. All of these things because I'm going straight from shul. You should take care of it beforehand. And if it means you need to do a little bit of exercise, a little bit of stretch, a little bit of drinking your coffee or your kale or whatever it is, it's what you need to do. You should do it. It's important. You see, it's a very, you see how there's halachot about hygiene. Okay, so Richard, as much as we told you that you're not allowed to pray, well, yeah, if you have to go to the bathroom, now I'm telling you, you can't sit at a meal either. Okay, you're not gonna jog around. What are you doing? Go to the bathroom. Yeah, I don't know. Does it work? Is there science behind this? Walk it off. Yeah, cardio. Yeah, it gets your body going. For sure, there are times where someone has to go to the bathroom and they're constipated. There's got to be things. I think moving around helps. It's got to help. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, a little bit more, and then we'll stop for the evening. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. We had to connect this back to. Yeah, you know what? We'll do one more and then we'll stop. We have to connect this to Tefillin because that's the theme of the day. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, "Hanichnas leseudat keva." Let's say you're going to go sit at a meal, which we just said you should go check yourself to make sure you don't have to go to the bathroom. If you're going to this meal, choletz tefilav ve'achar kach nichnas. Take off your tefillin first. Okay. Again, keep in mind they were wearing their tefillin all day long. So when it comes to lunchtime, if you're going to have an established lunch. Like it's not like you're gonna eat some snack while you're like continue learning. But if you're gonna have a lunch, take your tefillin off. Opliga de Rabbi Chia, and Rabbi Yitzchak argues with Rabbi Chia. Dama Rabbi Chia, the Rabbi Chia says, "Manichan shulchano." Don't take it off in the separate room and then go into your lunch room, but take it with you into the lunchroom and take it off right there. You see how they care? An extra minute of wearing tefillin. Extra 2 minutes of wearing tefillin. It's amazing. They did not want to take off their tefillin even for a moment of walking into the cafeteria. This is the proper way to do it, so that as soon as he's done eating, he can put it on. When should he put it back on? Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Azman bracha, till the time of Birkat Hamazon. While you're eating, if you're still in the mood of eating, and maybe there's more coming, maybe you're having a drink, leave your tefillin off. But once you say it's time to say Birkat Hamazon, what does that mean? Your meal is over, put it on. Okay? Again, I don't know. Does anyone ever wear their tefillin past tefillah? Anyone do it? By the way, I think like once you learn these Gemarot, you should become a little bit inspired to say like, let me keep it on for an extra 5 minutes. Let me not rush to take it off like as soon as I finish my Amidah, but let me at least do Aleinu L'Shabeach with it on. They were trying to squeeze an extra minute of walking to the kitchen. You're walking to the kitchen. They say, no, don't take it off. You can still put it on and take it off in the kitchen. So when you're done, you can put it right. You're done eating, you can put it right back on. They cared about moments of tefillin. Amazing. Okay, let me see. All right, we'll stop here because this next topic, we'll start from this next topic next time. Okay, any questions? Yes, Rama. Sure. Nativ.
So it became very funny when I was there, and I used to go there to advice when I was single. So I'd go to him and middle of the day, and he'd either have his tefillin on, or if it wasn't on, he'd be like, wait 1 minute. So I'll put on his tefillin, and okay, now we can talk. I'm like, why'd you do that? He's like, because I can think better when I have my tefillin on.
Unbelievable.
So it could be any middle of the day, anytime. He's like, you have to always have it on because when he's talking to you and wants to give you advice, his thoughts are better when his tefillin is on. It's amazing.
It's amazing. So what's the downside? The downside is if you're going to be thinking about things that are not proper, then you should not wear your tefillin. And that's really why we take it off, because we don't have proper. There's two opinions about hesech hadat. You're not allowed to wear your tefillin when you have a hesech hadat when you're not thinking about it. there's two opinions of when you're not thinking about your tefillin, and there's two opinions about how far we take this. One opinion says that you need to have conscious awareness that you're wearing your tefillin the whole time. And if you lose that conscious awareness, then you have to take it off. You're not allowed to wear it while you're not aware of it. You're not allowed to wear it if you're not aware. There's another opinion that says, no, you don't need to have such positive consciousness about it. It's just that you can't have negative thoughts. You could have parv thoughts. You could have neutral thoughts. You could be like studying without being aware of wearing your tefillin, as long as you're having kosher thoughts. But if you're having thoughts about improper things, or if you start thinking about like business or something else that's not really related, or maybe it's not, I don't know where you draw the line. But definitely, if you're going to be having improper thoughts, if a person is going to see someone dressed in a certain way and thinking about things in an improper way, for sure, a person shouldn't be wearing it if they can't control their thoughts. So what should you do? Either control your thoughts and then wear it, or don't wear it. Now, which one is better? Obviously, it makes sense that like to wear it more is better, right? But then you run into another issue. What's the other issue? What's the issue if you decide you're going to wear your tefillin all day? No, well, yeah, that is a good point. But then it's like telling everyone around you that I'm better than you. Look what I can do. You can't focus. You can't focus. You can't focus. I can. But to this, yes, Rabbi Adam says, if you feel like you could focus, so okay, so do it. And I know that there are times that over here you'll see there are people that they wear the tefillin in the morning, past the beginning, they'll wear it. And you would ask Rabbi Adam, is that a problem? He says, not a problem, but focus. Don't start talking about the Knicks game or the Mets game or whatever, the Jets game or whatever sport we're up to. That is something that's not appropriate to be talking about when you're wearing tefillin. But if you're focused, and even if it's not actively thinking about tefillin, but it's thinking about kosher thoughts, you would be allowed to. I would encourage you, if you can, after your tefillah, to have it on, leave your tefillin on for an extra couple of minutes, just to do the mitzvah of tefillin for tefillin's sake alone. Okay, study Torah, maybe you listen to a shiur, maybe you could do zichru or something for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, listen to something, read something. But I think there is something beautiful about extending your tefillin for an extra 5 minutes, or it could be before. Maybe you put your tefillin on and you come in 5 minutes earlier, before you start praying, to wear tefillin, read something, to read a halacha, do shnai mikra, something like else. Yeah, because you see how they had so much love for tefillin that they would do it every single day. They would even take it in, they would even urinate with it on, as we saw. Why? Because they didn't want to take it off. So there's beauty here. It's a mitzvah. It's a zechut. Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully, as the Gemara says, that when the Bnei Amim, other nations, see us with our tefillin, the Arum Mecca, it should bring pride to you. It should be like a crown of glory. Be'ezrat Hashem, Am Yisrael should be able to live in a sense where we have crown of glory, where a crown of glory where our enemies don't try to hurt us, they respect us, and Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully, we should be able to live in Shalom Aleichem. See you, everyone. Have a good